I'm gonna call him the manager, but he says he does it all down there. And, yeah, takes out the trash and sells the tickets and does everything at the Hayesville Opera House. So Dave's here tonight to talk to us about the Hayesville Opera House and other things Hayesville. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Dave. Thank you.
Has anybody been to the Opera House besides me? Yay! Okay, can you hear me okay, or do you want me to use the microphone? We're good? Okay. I got two trivia questions. Let's see who knows their trivia real good. Okay. The first one, do we know what building was the first historic building to be placed on the National Register for Ashland County? It was 1976. I didn't do it out before my time, somebody else did it, but it's a very extensive review process. And it was the first building that made the National Register for Ashland County. The second question is, it's kind of a two-part. We know what year the Opera House was built, right? 1886. Okay, do you know what other buildings? One was kind of regional, and there's one kind of national that was built the same year. Any ideas? Want to take a stab at it? I think you probably know the building if you've seen it or said, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that. It's actually over in Mansfield, the old reformatory. That was opened in 1886. And if you go on the East Coast, there was something that was put in the same year. She stands out in the harbor with her arm. The Statue of Liberty, 1886 is when that was finally completed. So it's kind of interesting to see what things are going on at the same time. I guess what we'll do is, this is a virtual tour I put together for COVID, for the open house that we had during COVID. We couldn't be open, but the Ohio Historical Society said, oh, just do something online. So this is the best I could do. So we can kind of begin here. Can you see it okay? Yes. Okay. Well, you can kind of read through. You can see it was built 1886. The people voted in the money as a bond issue to construct the building. I think it was a vote of, let's say here, yeah, it was a vote of 100 yes, right here, 100 yes votes and 13 no votes to build the building. Actually, the building is next to what is known as a hardware store in Hayesville. Maybe you've seen it. It's also known as the International Order of Odd Fellows, has a large hall upstairs, and then downstairs is the hardware store, but today it's an apartment building. And if you live up on the second floor, you got 25 steps to climb, just like at the Opera House, because it's at the same level and everything. Okay, let's go down here a little bit, so I can figure this out. This is a postcard. It's actually this one here. I know it says 1890, but I did some more research and found out this picture, we can pass these around, and this one were done in 1910. I'll pass one around this way. I found that out because I had some work done on the piano, which you can see, I think, in that one. Nope, not that one over there. You can see the piano. That was built in 1910, so we know the picture couldn't have been taken before 1910, right? That's logic, simple logic. Okay, going down here. Anybody ever see this? That's a historical marker. Actually, during the state bicentennial in 2003, remember that? They actually did it back in 1998. They asked for applications to receive grant funding to pay for, because this marker is like $1,500. Is that right? Yeah, $1,500. And there's a foundation, Longerberger paid for it. I think they had like 100 applications in the first round, but they only picked out 24. But guess which one got picked out? The Hayesville Opera House. And actually, if you look in the corner, the 1-3 means it's the first marker for the third county, which is Ashland.
How did Longerberger get involved?
they put up the funding to pay for a whole series of markers all around the state. This is during the bicentennial for the state of Ohio. And so that was pretty cool that Hayesville Opera House got a historical marker through that program. So it's just a narrative, it's the same on both sides, but it's pretty interesting. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. This is the old marker program. Maybe you've seen these signs around the state. This was the old one. This one actually is for the Vermillion Institute, which is, if you know where, has anybody seen the Institute building? Okay. That was a private four-year college. It's first established first by the Baptist Church, then the Presbyterian Church took it over, and today that's actually where the College of Worcester started, was at the Vermillion Institute. But politics and everything, it ended up in Worcester instead of Hayesville. Okay, anybody know what this is? Highway marker, yeah. It's not original to the building. One of the residents in the village found it in his yard. Somebody dumped it in, and anyways, he gave it to the village, and the village said, "Oh, Dave, what are we going to do with this?" So, actually, it's in front of the Opera House, and we know the road in front of the Opera House is the Lincoln Highway, yeah. So if you go east on East Main Street, you'll eventually end up in New York City, I think Times Square. And if you go west, you'll eventually end up, I think, in Long Beach, California, I believe. I don't know. San Francisco, there we go. Okay, let's see what else we have. Okay, there's the front door. You've seen that, right? Okay. And there's the front door opens, right? And then, what do we got? Yeah. 25 steps to climb.
Did they have anything handicap accessible back then?
No, we looked at doing an elevator addition, and the bids came in like around 800,000. Oh, sure. Sure, we'll put it on. Anyways, no, it's.
I just wondered, what did they, handicap people just not go out?
This was 1886. I mean, the restroom didn't have an inside restroom and had an outhouse behind the building. So I don't know. And of course, when it opened in 1886, it didn't have any electric because electricity hadn't come to the area like Ashland, and probably this building when it opened probably didn't have any electric either because the power just wasn't there yet. Okay, anybody seen this view? The seats and the auditorium, that's what you look at. And when you come up the steps and turn, and okay, this is looking from the back, and actually that's the same view if you look at that. Yeah, that's the same view there. Minus the piano was on the stage, and I think it's now sits in the corner. I didn't move it, but and the piano came up the steps the same way you did. One step back. One step at a time. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay. Anybody know what this is? Yeah. Anybody know where this was made? No. You know the Tappan Company in Mansfield? Yeah, this was the forerunner. I think it's the Eclipse Stove Company, but someone said, "Oh, Dave, that became Tappan Industries eventually." But yeah, that's how they used to heat the theater. I couldn't imagine. They used to run shows all year round, and just, if you can imagine being there, cold and without lights. You didn't have lights like this. We had kerosene and gas lights. So there it is. There you can see if you can't hardly see, but you can see Eclipse Stove Company, Mansfield, Ohio. Okay, you know what this is? The seating. careful not to destroy any of the historical, fabric or attributes. And with these seats, what we did was, we found a company that reproduced the seats, with the curvature and the varnish and finish and everything. The originals were pretty thin, and if you touched them or bumped them, you got, ouch. it would splinter real good, and they were just, dried out, so we were careful not to change that. Let's see what else we got here. There's another view, you can see the stairway. Okay, that's the postcard, and the spot on the side is a spot on the picture or a ghost. I don't know. We have had paranormal investigators came one time, and they said, yeah, there's an energy presence. I said, okay. They gave me a recording of somebody talking, okay. Which is fine, I mean, if you're happy, I'm happy, I guess. Anyway, okay, this is a play. Yeah, this was from 1916, the play Kitty Bowling. And I don't know if you know any local history. Eddie Stover, have you heard that name? He had the hat shop. Eddie Stover. Yeah, well that's Eddie right there. He liked to wear dresses. Okay? Right? But that's him right there. And I think with these plays, I think only men were allowed. Is that about right? I believe so. Women were not. Yes.
The person in the dress over on the right, that's my Uncle Jim Eckelberger.
Oh my gosh. So it was all guys only allowed.
And I think Grandpa might be the one with the top hat like on.
This one.
Yes,
Okay.
that one.
Well, anyway.
That's Mart Eckelberger right there.
Okay, yeah. Oh my goodness. So we have descendants, people who've actually been there. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Oh, the Memorial Day program. They used to do that every year at the Opera House. They'd have this program there, then they would go down to the cemetery. I think today they do the program over in the park because there's no steps to climb to get up to there. Let's see, oh, this is backstage. Sorry about the messy corner, but I tried to clean it the other day, but anyways. Let's see what else we have there. This is, you can see the scenery is there.
Isn't there a curtain in there, that everybody signed that performed there?
Well, they sang pretty much the walls, or the curtains, or the wood, or just anywhere.
'Cause I performed there twice.
Yes.
And I signed it, and
Okay.
there was, I forget whose name, I signed my name right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another trivia question. How many know the Ashland Orchestra? Ashland Symphony, okay. We know what year they started, right?
No.
1926.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and what they did was, I think their first concert was in May of 1926. They played up at the old Christian church on Cottage Street because McDowell Auditorium wasn't quite finished yet. So what this is, they did their first dress rehearsal at the Hayesville Opera House. If you could imagine getting 40 people on that stage. I know, it's pretty interesting.
Is that how many in the symphony, 40?
I think there was 40 in the symphony. Of course, Doc Heat was the conductor at the time.
Right.
He had just started with the Ashland City Schools as their music supervisor, and he also just started at the Christian Church as a new choir director, because that was a brand new building. So, wow, big times in Ashland, I guess. Okay. This one I know is kind of hard to see, but this is the most famous. Anybody know what that is? Buffalo Bill.
Oh, that's the Buffalo. That's on the wall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the wall, and it's been there since 1888, so you would be a little faded too. You have been there since 1888, yeah. And here's some more signatures, like I said, this is on the back of the scenery, I think. Here, I don't know if you could read this, is Cleo the Mystic, who played there in 1921. Anybody there to see him? Yeah, that was before my time, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Okay, does anybody have any questions, or?
I believe Buffalo Bill performed twice, didn't he, there?
Well, I've only found his name just once, it was October of 1888. I don't know. Today the theater is open. We were closed from COVID for about a year and a half, but we were lucky to get quite a bit of grant funding to help get the bills paid out. Just because you're historic doesn't mean you don't have to pay the bills. It still will shut stuff off. We found that out the hard way one time. But anyways, anybody have any questions, or? You said most of you have been there, right? That's good, that's good.
I have a question. Was Buffalo Bill Cody was saying, was he from Ohio?
I think it was from Wyoming, I believe.
See, when I was a kid, I was raised in Cleveland. The librarian, her last name was Cody, and that was her cousin.
Her cousin.
And I remember, as long as old as I am, but I remember her telling me that, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he was from Ohio at one time.
I don't know. I know Annie Oakley was from
She was
Ohio.
from Ohio.
I don't know about what
They
it
were
was.
Rutgers and all the others.
I never looked into him.
We've been to the museum where he's from out west, and I think.
So was I, yeah, but I don't remember.
Yeah, he just was on tour for a year or two doing these shows.
The circus or whatever it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder.
But Annie Oakley was never here.
I don't believe so. I've never seen her name, but that doesn't mean.
Yeah, we spent about an hour with that one performance. We just kind of looked at all the
I know
names.
they're
and dates.
everywhere,
It
they're
was-
everywhere.
It was unbelievable, the
Yeah.
signatures.
Well, it's been there almost 140 years, and I know Ashland did have an opera house like this one. It was a municipal building, or the city building with the library. The historical society was in that building, the fire department, the police department. There's a building up here on the corner where the home hardware furniture store is. It was in that location. Yeah, it's not the downtown theater, that's something different. But yeah, this building was also the same way. I did find out that, let's see if I can get it up here. That's kind of hard to see. The door right here, that's where the township trustees met, I found out. That was their offices. Until they built their garage east of the village and they moved out, but yeah, that's where they were for a long time. And I think this is where Eddie Stover's house is.
Yes.
Because they did find out, if you go down to the recorder's office, there's a 100-year lease for this space signed out to Eddie Stover in the Opera House building. He was here, and I think his aunt lived at the back of the building in an apartment. Don't ask me how that happened. I have no idea, but there's also a lease for that space, a 100-year lease.
How did you get interested in your job?
Well, it's not a job, it's all volunteer, but I actually live in the village. It's about 7 doors down from the theater, so it's pretty close. And when I first saw it, I thought, wow, this place is pretty incredible. I know the school teachers love us. In the springtime, they can bring the kids up for they'll have history talk and discussion, and they'll stay for a movie, and they'll also do some short silent movies for them. When was the last time you saw a silent movie?
Oh, there.
And a 140-year-old theater, so yeah, we're pretty fortunate. I know historically, there's not many of these buildings left from the 1880s. I think I was looking the other day with all the different towns around, I think there's maybe about 8 or 10 from the 1850s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Our house is.
Yeah, but it's not our house.
Well, let's go to Scranton one.
There you go, yeah.
How old's the institute there?
The Vermillion Institute opened in 1845.
For the Civil War.
It was before the Civil War, before Ashland County was here. And there's a state charter for it. They had their own board of directors, they had stockholders, it had 2 dorms that were there. And it was, very prestigious school. And I'm guessing the institute closed in about 1884. And I haven't done all my research yet, but I'm trying to guess that the reason why they built this was to continue the learning tradition that the Vermillion Institute had with learning opportunities outside of formal education, which I guess the Institute used to do for the area, would bring in guest speakers. And so I'm guessing to continue that, someone decided, well, let's build a theater in a small town with no railroad. You can imagine getting around in 1880 with stagecoach or however we did, and no train, you couldn't get the train in town because Hayesville didn't have a train.
They ever entertained the Ohio Chautauqua series back in the, I don't know exactly when Chautauqua started.
Yeah, I didn't see anything like that.
I didn't think they had.
I did find out that they had different levels of opera houses, like C level, B level, and A level, which is where your big movie stars or actors would go. And I guess Hayesville was considered kind of lower level because it didn't have the train to get the important people into town. But I know that they did use it for like range meetings. I know I saw that Farmers Institute, and like I said, the Memorial Day program was always out there for the Civil War veterans.
Did Mabel Vera ever sing there, do you know?
Well, we know about Mabel Vera, right? Yeah, she's an opera star. Yeah.
Unfortunate,
Yeah, I know. The answer is no, she did not, because, like I said, Hayesville was considered a lower level type theater, so she would never have played, because they didn't do full state operas there.
So before electricity, for the lighting, they would have the oil stage. I'm assuming you have any of those as far as?
They had gas lights, the gas light fixtures, I don't know if you can see them. They're still there. They hang down from the ceiling. I couldn't imagine how much lighting a gas light
Gasoline.
would give off. And I guess I found out that let's see here. The stage, the footlights on the stage were kerosene, I believe. I can't really see it. Let's see here. Well, you can kind of sort of see it. There's one right there. 1, 2. You see that light coming down? That's the gas light fixture. It's still there with the little mantle. Like I said, I couldn't imagine how much illumination. And what's amazing is it didn't burn the building down.
Going back to the Vermillion Institute, was it co-ed?
Yes, it was co-ed. Yeah, it was.
2 dorms, huh?
It had 2 dorms. It was co-educational. Of course, the students were they can always causing trouble when they were there. But yeah.
That was unusual for that man, co-education.
Yeah, but it was. I believe. Yeah, it was co-educational. And there was an awful lot of famous doctors and lawyers, and Sheldon Jackson, the senator, he was a graduate of the school.
Now that's privately owned now?
Yeah, it was purchased a few years ago by Steve McQuillan, who did a total renovation of the building, gutted it down to the walls.
Is it like a B&B, an inn, or?
He runs a historical architectural business out of there. And his office is actually up in the tower. You see the tower in the middle. It's nice. It does have 65 steps to climb to get up to the tower, but once you're up there, it's very nice.
Does he let any visitors come? Does he open it up to the public?
He just had open houses. He just had one back in December for Christmas. They're going to have one again in August for a summer open house. Everybody's welcome. He has food and
Where does he put his notices for that?
he has a Facebook or it's a website or Facebook page that he has where you can put those. But anyways, welcome to come to visit the Institute.
Do you have any plans for future improvements?
Well, that's a good question. Besides an elevator, which they are very expensive and we're a very tight shoestring type of budget. I don't have anything planned as far as building renovation. We are doing first run movies, and up until 2017 we were doing film. And then our booking company said, Dave, I'm sorry, there is no more film. You'll have to go digital if you want to keep. And so we were out of business for about, well, not out of business, but we were allowed to use DVDs. It took us about a year and a half to raise the $40,000 to purchase the equipment. And it was all great funding because when you're a small organization, you don't borrow the money from the bank. You don't. No, we're not sorry enough. But anyways, and we were fortunate to get some more grant funding in because with computers, you got to make upgrades. And so we did get our equipment in. There actually is a tech team coming in 2 weeks to install the different computers there. Don't ask me how it works. I don't understand that part, but we are upgrading the computer software. So
Do the grants come from state and federal?
these are private grants, and the Ashland County Foundation helped us. So we were very
Like you're not able to get a government?
I didn't approach them this time to ask for, but we did get enough in to cover, and we can continue with our movies. You don't have to worry about the equipment going, doop. Sorry, it's not gonna work tonight. So.
Did you find any artifacts? I know with our theater down here, they found some very interesting artifacts. I was in there today, walking around, and they were showing me some of the artifacts. So.
Yeah, there is a box of play parts, but they are racist. They are black face. They're still there if you want to look at them. But they're the old play scripts. I'm not sure where they came from, if someone donated them or if they were used.
Yeah, on display.
No, they're back. I got them in a box backstage. Wrapped in plastic so it leaks like it did the other day. I went up there. Oh no. There's a big puddle on the floor. So I called the village manager and he came over and said, uh-oh. But it's fine. It's not leaking now.
Any other artifacts, oil lamps or keys or
Well, there
locks?
was the gas light fixture that I showed you.
Mhm.
And of course the backdrops, those are all original. Well, you can see it in that black and white. Is that the one? Yeah, it's in that photo. Yeah, you can see this backdrop here, that is from 1886. It's got a company, someone signed it, Sussman and Landis, Chicago, which I guess that's where a lot of the theater supplies, scenery came from that company. And so there's actually 6 backdrops. 4 of them are still good. 2 of them were badly damaged. I didn't do it. It just happened. I don't know, but I got them hung up backstage, so they are there.
Those backdrops are so unique.
Yes,
You can just walk around and look at it for half hour to an hour, just gazing at
I wanted to mention that something that you probably would do on your own, but that you are the one that has done most of the grant applications and applied for all the grants, so
Yes.
thanks for volunteering your
Oh,
time
thank you.
Yes.
to get all that.
Because like I tell people, it's not about me, but it's about the next generation of, like the students that we work with the grade schools that come and think, wow, this place is so cool. It's all about working with them and leaving it for, because we're only here temporary, we're all just temporary students, I guess, right?
We're so fortunate to live in this area. We have the Ohio Theater
Yes, we do.
down in Loudonville, which is magnificent. We have the Renaissance Theater.
And we've got
We're gonna have our theater
this
here
one
soon.
here, you got this one, which
Yeah. Preserving
How do you
history.
get a schedule of what's coming up? We don't know.
well, we do have a website,
Website.
Hayesville.org.
Okay.
I know this weekend we've got 80 for Brady with Billy Tomlin, and that was this week. Next weekend is kind of a double feature. We're doing the Avatar all 3 hours and 10 minutes. So that's just on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday and Wednesday is Casablanca in 1942. Oh,
Do you have a schedule on published?
well, I don't publish one because I don't find out what the shows are until like 2 or 3 weeks before, because it comes out so quickly. We're using a different studio now. And so I really don't know quite ahead of time. It's not like the live shows where you know like 6 months ahead. We mostly do movies. Now we do have a bluegrass show coming in April. Bluegrass.
When you show some of the classics, you have a schedule.
Well, we got Casablanca coming.
Yeah.
I know they do have some other classics, but I don't know what they are.
Well, you use one of those, sort of like what Cinemark,
Yeah,
that is a playlist that they come out with.
yeah, from the different studios. And I know we are doing the Superman retro from 1978, but I think that's the 45 years. 25. I'm not good at math, but it's the old Superman with Christopher Reeve, and we got that one coming. We do have the Wizard of Oz coming, I think in May for Mother's Day weekend. Warner Brothers released it again, so we don't have to pay like $500 to rent it and have nobody show up. Okay, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea.
If you were to try to make those seats more comfortable, you'd be interfering with the authenticity of the.
Well, we had to be careful to not detract from the historic fabric of the building. I know, I'll just put in stadium seating with cushy.
You've got all your cushions in the back, though. People
We do have seat cushions that someone donated, and they get used. They get used. I mean, I find the seats not too bad to sit in. I know some seats are like, ouch, not very comfortable, but these aren't too bad. They're about the right height. Any other questions? I know we're fortunate to have the Opera House here. Like I said, no, Ashland had one just like it, sort of, and of course it came. The city sold it because they wanted the money for the new municipal building, so, all right. And of course they moved the public library out, and then the Historical Society, which was in the old Opera House, is down. You can thank Betty Plain for that. She told me how she did that work too. Any other questions or?
Well, they made a lot of mistakes, you know, they tore down the jailhouse here in
Oh, I
Ashland,
know.
tore down the Myers house.
Yep, my music in
The music
First
building, how that was
National
allowed.
Bank building, remember that one?
But,
They tear down schools, we don't have, be able to use them for something or other.
Yeah, but, I'm so thankful for individuals like you, what you do with preservation of our history, our buildings.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not about making money, you don't.
No,
And we're lucky, people said, hey, how do you keep this going? I mean, you know, we're lucky, get $100, you know, they did a good show, giving them enough to pay the bills. And
you allow popcorn?
we got popcorn and drinks and candy. We had probably 20 people from the Cleveland area that came down to watch it because it wasn't playing. The Cinemarks didn't have it, the Regals didn't have it, but they looked up Hayesville Opera House.
Yeah.
We're at Hayesville Opera House, they have it. Yeah. It's a cult classic, I think, eventually, but it's a kind of we need to be driving the car and running over people. Okay, any other questions? I know I'm very grateful for the support we do get.
I would say one thing, the Ashland Opera House had a dance hall upstairs,
Yes.
and that's how my dad met my mother.
Oh.
Sweet.
I was dancing there.
He was in Ashland, she was from Brownsville.
Okay, that's right,
And her, she was with girlfriends, at the dance.
I do know the Ashland Opera House, for some reason they did the men's chorus performances there, but the Ashland Orchestra, as far as I know, never played at the Ashland Opera House. It only played at McDowell Auditorium, maybe because, I don't know, it was school related or. But just in what I found, they never played at the Ashland Opera House. Like they did play at Hayesville, that was pretty much a dress rehearsal, I guess.
What was the seating in there, 40 you said?
Originally it was about 320.
Oh, wow.
I know, that's a lot. And during the renovation, we took it down to 200. I noticed they probably had more or less seats, because when we took the old seats out, you can see where they had been bolted down or screwed down before. And so, right now, it's at 200, which is that's a lot. That's a lot for that stage.
Have you filled it? Or any performance?
When the schools come, they do fill it with the kids. We get almost 170, and they're very well behaved. I like to watch them, the teachers and the principal come. I like kids, but not that many. So like I said, we're fortunate to have the Hayesville Opera House. It's a piece of history that the next generation will say, oh my gosh, we're so glad that that committee kept this place going.
Now, there's an old schoolhouse on 42 going to Mansfield. Does anybody know anything about that?
Anderson School there on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Used to be Ruth Stage Evans's place.
Yeah,
If they're on the right hand, there's a guy and his wife that are trying to revive it, and I haven't heard anything from him for a couple of years.
I think he teaches.
He's a professor, yeah.
Teaches education.
Yeah, and he's in your Ashland Cemetery people. Can't think of his name now.
He does the cemetery walk?
Pardon me?
He does the cemetery walks?
No, when the Historical Society puts on their cemetery demonstration, he's one of the speakers there.
Okay.
I can't think of his name.
Is it, well, we go by, it's empty, I mean, there's nothing going on.
Well, yeah, but I've noticed they've got like new windows and a couple of
Yeah,
things.
I thought it was
That's the Anderson School. Ruth Stage Evans and her husband had it, and they're both going now.
I thought it was for sale for a while recently, but I don't go that way, so I don't know. Yeah.
Then you got your Thomas one room schools down here on 995 then too.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of them around town as far as that goes.
Like 33 in the county. 33, old school.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. I was looking at a Clear Creek map the other day, and I was amazed at just how close they were together, and how many there were.
If you look at the Ashland genealogy, it has a booklet, 1897. I mean, it's an 8 by 10, but in the back of that, on the front of it, it says 1897, but in the back of it, it lists a lot of one-room schools at that time. And then Sarah Kearns, who writes the memory articles in the paper, she's got a notebook of her articles up there in the library, and, it's got a lot of information about one of her schools in it.
We were going through some things, I don't know, about, a year ago maybe, and we found the test that the teachers had to take in order to be a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse. I'm telling you guys, it was hard. Oh my goodness, it was so incredibly hard. I mean, and I don't know if it was hard because we value different types of information today than what they had to know at the turn of the century. But, we're educated people. We could not even answer some of the questions. There were a couple of them we didn't even really know what it meant. But it's interesting because we also have books and binders full of, so these people would then have to take a test and be accredited by the local school board in order to become a teacher in one of these one-room schoolhouses. And there were all kinds of rules for them. You know, if you were a woman, you couldn't really date anybody, and you couldn't be out on a weeknight, and you had to wear your hair up. It just, if you were a gentleman, you couldn't smoke, you couldn't drink, if they found you in a bar, you would get fired. I mean, all these rules, it was really funny, but just super interesting. All these books and ledgers we have of these teachers taking these tests and their grade in there. And then I'll just go one step further because this isn't about one-room schoolhouses. I could go on and on about it. But yesterday, a man from Medina brought us some newspapers from 56 to 63 or whatever, but they were Ashland Times papers, and they had found them in a house in Medina that they're restoring as part of their historical society. But on the front page of one of these newspapers, there was a big ad on the front of their advertising for people who wanted to be school teachers in one-room schoolhouses. So I thought, well, good luck passing that test. Because when you think about it, you had to be able to teach children who were like 4 and 5 years old up until about maybe 12 or so. About that time they would go back and work on the farm, or they would go someplace else. Or if they were really, really smart and, they thought they were going to go someplace, maybe they would stay a little bit longer before they went off to, to Vermilion Institute or something, right? So, but it was really interesting. And I keep meaning to get that test out. I'm going to dig it out one of these days so that when people come down, they can take a look at that and see
That would be
what questions they can answer.
really moving, put in the paper and see.
Yes, see what you could answer or
How
do.
many
Or,
of you to teach it
yeah,
in school?
yeah, because the questions were super tough. Where they got? I mean, they were like, I can't give an example when I got it. They were super tough. Like we were like, we just don't know. We had to Google it.
And I think they had to take these tests like every 6 months.
They did. The ledgers that I have that you look at, it has like the teacher's name.